Hi, I'm Cherie, Doyen. And this morning I pulled this tarot reading specifically for Changemakers. I know many of us feel a level of frustration with what's going on out there. So I know I do at times. And as I pulled this and continued to ask questions, I thought it important for me to share with each one of you and come together collectively in some silent moments of discovery. The first card I drew was the Two of Swords, right? And we notice that this person has blindfold on, and they've got their swords out in front of them. They're not in a position to fight, right? And I think many spiritual healers and teachers feel that way. Like we're not wanting to fight, and, right, we're feeling this massive change rolling in upon us. The next card I pulled was the Death card, right? And I think often that this card tends to elicit fear in us as we think of something that we have always known dying away, right? Now with the Death card comes potential for new growth, right? Just like when a tree dies, right, we have the sprouts coming up all around it, and maybe its branches were overshadowing those sprouts in the past, and now they can reach the light as well. And just typical, I didn't like this card, right? So I pulled the next card, or I didn't even pull, like it jumped out of the deck face up on the floor, and it was the Tower, right? And we've been living, especially here in the States, kind of in this glass house, this reality where we've had our rose-colored glasses on, and maybe this change is sneaking up on us. Or maybe we've spent so much time, looking up that we weren't seeing everything around us that was morphing, right? The people, the children that are below our sight line, right? And again, as is human, I didn't like this card either, right? So I'm like, okay, let me see what they bring next. And out jumps Temperance, which is a time of patience, right? And balance, where this big change is finding balance, right? And that has to happen within us for it to happen outside of us, right? Because each one of us is like a cell in this body that is the collective of the United States, of the world, right? I think here in the United States, we are all like with our eyes open wide, witnessing things that are unprecedented. And with that, I'm like, okay, future. I pull out the Seven of Wands. Just like a time of rebuilding. Right? Recognizing that what we did before didn't quite work exactly the way we thought. And it's time for a new and creative thought, a new and creative way to step forward in this world. Now, ascension is top of mind for everybody, and everybody's like, raise your frequency, rise to the next octave, right? And yes, and the problems are here and we see them, right? And many of us feel alone in that, right? Then comes the Ace of Wands, which is a time for rebuilding and time for, everything is possible, right? And on the back side comes a card of success. So as we go into our meditation today, I would love for us to acknowledge, because I think that's the hard piece in this world of spirituality. If you acknowledge the problem, we're considered not spiritual, right? Which builds a burn inside of you, because it's like, okay, well, we can walk around like none of that's happening, or we can figure out how we can be instrumental in that change, right? Instrumental within ourselves. We can't just think the problem away. People are starving, right? So I would love for each of us to think about connection and who you can link arms with to create a wave that's bigger than you. One of the most powerful teachers says, one drop of light into the dark makes little or no difference. You have to think about that. One drop of white paint in the dark, it's just absorbed. But one drop of dark into the light makes it gray instantly. Calls to come back to like mind, link arms, recharge, so that when you go back out into the world, you're going out filled up. Armed passively against the tumultuousness of our world. I will say, when I was living in Mexico, I never one time saw empty shelves. Right in the middle of COVID, not one time. Across the border, shelves are empty. Why is that? Why is that? We live in a country where we could feed the world if we chose to plant food. So let's take a big deep breath and release. Lean back, get comfy. We're going to drop down into our corpus callosum with our focus on that death and tower card. Focus what's under the rubble that we can pull out and grow. And again, who you can link arms with in this time of change. This is a time to use your voice. This is a time for you to know who you are and what you believe. And our question we hold up is, who am I? And why am I here? Right here and right now. I'd like for you to set your feet on the ground right in the middle of this enormous poppy field. And if you reach out, you can feel the papery, fragile petals on the palms of your hands. You can see the beauty of the earth, the different flowers that are in the shadows of the glorious poppies. Slight breeze, you can see the faces of the poppies bend and flow. You can feel a stir of creativity rising in your belly. Curiosity. As you use your voice to ask the question, why am I here? Today, 2024, why am I here? You can hear the water running in the distance, and you can feel it calling you. And your feet just naturally start moving forward towards the water. You see a path running along the edge of the poppy field. And you decide that it's going in the direction of the water. You witness the butterflies flitting through the poppies. You can see this trail is leading right into the woods. You can feel a little trepidation in your belly. Up ahead, this blue wisp is calling you in. It's calling you forward. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees. So we're making our way through. The animals, birds are welcoming us into their home. And as foundation of everything is the water, that running water. Up ahead, you see the light opening up. And as you step through to your right, it's an amazing waterfall. It's not huge. Sound is magical. And as you're called to the edge, down on your hands and knees, you look at the reflection of self in that pool of water. What do you see? Do you see the you of the ages? Do you see the new you that's emerging? From the corner of your eye, A flickering light catches your attention. And as you rise, you see a bridge of light crossing this body of water. And it contains all spectrum of color. And as you get closer, you realize there's someone waiting for you. And they reach out their hand and link arms as you set foot on the Rainbow Bridge. You have so many questions rising up in your throat. Why am I here? Now you're guided into this field with a circle of teepees around and a grand lodge of a teepee rising up through the center. The flap is open and a shaman is waiting for you. He says, I'm here to show you what you need to see right now for this change that you're wanting. And as you enter, there's a circle of masters holding space for you. With a wave of his arm, your eyes close, and the images begin to appear. I think at this time of ascension, it's important to recognize that the change makers were not apathetic. They did not have rose-colored glasses on. Right? The Martin Luther Kings, they didn't. They saw the problem and they became the solution. So as we rise into this new humanity, I don't believe it about ignoring the problems that are here. I believe that each one of us affects what we see when we see it. So thank you. Thank you for the change that you are in the world.